Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Alyssa. Welcome if you're new, welcome back if you're already a subscriber. I really appreciate it. So based off today's title of the video, I want to start sharing more blogger tips with you guys just because I feel like I've had a lot of different experiences in the past 3 years that I've been doing this, and me and my girlfriend Danielle actually did a Clubhouse talk like last week, and this is what we talked about, and we got such great feedback and so many positive messages on Instagram saying how it really helped people, how they really loved the tips and tricks. And on Clubhouse we like go into the tea and we give like specifics and details, but I just wanted to record this video because I think it'll be really helpful for anyone who wants to land their dream collaboration, and how do you go about doing that, and how do you set yourself apart, because there are so many girls now. And of course people say, you know, the market is saturated and Instagram is gonna die, blah blah blah, but like no, it's a billion-dollar industry at this point, and brands work with so many different types of influencers, content creators, whatever you want to call yourself. So these are going to be my top tips on how to stand out and get that dream partnership of yours. So I quickly want to give a little bit background of information about me just so you kind of know. So I started doing Instagram or blogging full-time in 2018, and it started out as a hobby, and I absolutely just loved what I was doing, and I started getting gifting and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And you know, as time goes on, you learn more about the industry, you try things that don't work, you try things that do work, and you really learn along the way. So I wish when I was starting out I could have looked up videos like this to kind of be able to help navigate it, because I felt like I was just kind of guessing when I was doing things. So these are my top tips. This is what I do. If you want, you can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is Fashionably Surfed. You can kind of see the fashion content that I post there and the brands that I work with. But we'll dive in. These are going to be my top 5 tips that aren't just your generic tips that people share, and hopefully these help you. Okay, so I wrote everything down. I have like my notes right here. So the first tip is going to be to genuinely support the brand. And I know that sounds so basic, but a lot of people don't do it. And by genuinely support, I mean, like, you shouldn't want to partner with them just because you know they'll pay you. In the long run, it'll come off as inauthentic. It might be a one-off partnership, but it maybe won't result into a long-term partnership, which is the ultimate goal, is to have long-term partnerships with these brands. So make sure it's a brand that you genuinely love. And a really cool fact to know is that a lot of brands, not all of them, but a lot of them have this back-end software that they use, and they can see who's tagging them on social media. So whether you work with them or not, they get all this information and they can see who is just genuinely talking about them. That's how I got one of my partnerships. I believe it was Nasty Gal. That's how they kind of found me, and I thought that was really cool. So if you want to work with them and they are your dream brand, genuinely start out by just supporting them. And if you have the means to, you can also purchase something from their store. So say it's a small business or even just a larger brand, like purchase something if it is within your means and style it so you can show them, you know, hey, this is your piece of clothing, like this is how I would style it, this is the kind of content I can create for you, and just tag them. And it also shows your audience that you obviously love this brand too, otherwise you hopefully wouldn't be posting about them. So by genuinely purchasing, if you can, styling an outfit, tagging them, you're showing them what you could do, and it gives them the opportunity to find you and then potentially reach out to you to work with you, which is really cool too. So I think overall, again, you should just want to work with the brand because you genuinely love them and support them, and not just because you're trying to collect money at the end of the day. It's just, you're not, if that's what you're here for, it's not going to work out and you're not going to be successful. So genuinely support the brand. Alright, so my next tip to land your dream partnership is to pitch yourself via email. So this means do not wait around for the brand to reach out to you. I feel like now with the industry, so many girls are pursuing this as a career that if you just sit back and wait, you know, it might not happen for you. Maybe it will, maybe the brand will reach out to you, and that's absolutely great. But the chances are a lot lower now, and if you want to make something happen, say you're manifesting it, you've written down your goals, you want to work with this brand, why wait? Like, who cares? Pitch yourself in an email and tell them why they should work with you and how you can help them with their marketing goals. And so under this section, I kind of just want to talk about, you know, finding the contact. So there are a lot of ways you can find the contact. One of the easiest ways is you can DM the brand on Instagram and just ask them, hey, I love your brand. I love your recent styles for fall. I'm creating a lookbook and I would love to include your brand. Who would be the best person to reach out to via email to pitch? You know, thanks for your time, Alyssa. Just something super simple and like short on DMs, because you just want to get that email, and it's a lot more informal in the DMs too. So a lot of times I will do that, and you know, sometimes it goes unread, unseen. Sometimes it'll be seen and ignored, and in that case I'll probably send a follow-up maybe like a week or so later. And then sometimes they'll be like, hey, thanks for reaching out. We've passed your information to our PR team, and they'll reach out to you if they're interested. Not much you can really do there, but reach out again later if you don't hear back. And then the last thing that will happen is they'll be like, hi, great, thanks for reaching out. Please send an email to this email. And they'll give you someone's email address, which is so great. So the DMs are a powerful place to start. You can also check a company's website. They'll usually have like a contact us section at the bottom, and sometimes they'll have a PR email there. So you can email that email and ask if that's the right person you should be reaching out to, or if they can direct you to someone better. Or if they don't have a PR email, you can email the regular help info email and just, you know, tell them what you're looking for. Hey, you know, this is who I am. I'd love to potentially start a collaboration with your brand. Who would be the best person to reach out to? Thank you so much for your time, Alyssa. Just something simple like that, and then hopefully that leads them to giving you an email as well. So sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's always worth a shot. Another way you can find an email is on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a professional site if you're not aware, and you can actually search the company. So you can figure out the company, and then it shows the employees. If they do have accounts, it'll show who works for that company, and then you can try to find like the influencer relations, the marketing, the PR, anything like that. Look for that person, and you'll also get a sense of like how the brand structures their email, whether it's like first name, last name at brand.com, or if it's like first name dot last name, or if it's just like first name at brand.com. You'll be able to see that way. If you can figure out names, you can kind of guess an email and pitch yourself that way. So there are a lot of different ways to find it. Oh yeah, and then the last one I would say is if you have friends on Instagram, and I'm seriously, they have to be your friends. Do not ask strangers, because it comes off as very tacky, especially if you don't follow them. And so you want to make sure like it's someone you know and you're comfortable talking with, and you would share contacts with them. You can ask your friends like, hey, like I saw you working with this brand, I'd love to pitch them. Do you mind sharing the contact, or do you mind, you know, trading contacts? I'll give you a contact if you give me a contact. Something like that. Like, make sure you're just like really polite about it and don't come off rude, and don't ask strangers, because it comes off like very kind of weird if you do it that way, if that makes sense. But there are so many ways to find that email so that you can pitch yourself. Another thing I use when I'm pitching in my emails, if you have Gmail, there's this plugin called Streak, and it's like a sales funnel app, I guess, but personally I use it just to see if my email has been read. And I'm sure there are other services that do this too, but I just use Streak. And what's really cool about this is if you pitch yourself in an email, you can see when they open it and when they've read it. That way you can follow up. And if, like, say they're not reading it, you can see that and kind of just send another follow-up email. Or, you know, if they have read it and you wait a couple days and they haven't responded, you can be like, hey, just wanted to bump this to the top of your inbox. I know you're probably really busy. Thank you for your time. That way you can just see, like, you can see if they're ignoring you, or, you know, don't take it personally, because you never know. Like, maybe they opened your email and then they had to run off to a meeting and it got lost. Things happen, it's not personal. So for me, I will always follow up. I follow up a couple times. If it's a brand you really want to work with, like we're talking about dream collaborations here. Like, if you want to work with this brand, like you need to go out and get it. You can't just sit back and wait like, oh, I sent my pitch email, I'm done. Like, no. If you've sent your pitch email, no response, follow up 3 to 5 days maybe. You know, let them have time to respond, but at that 3 to 5 day mark, I think it's okay to send a short follow-up. And then again, maybe they don't respond, follow up. Honestly, the worst thing they can do is say no. And again, dream brands, like I'm gonna keep pursuing until they give me like a hard no, which has happened, but at least you know, and then maybe you can pitch them again in a couple months, you know, maybe you'll grow a little more, your engagement will get a little better, your content style might change a bit. You never know why they're saying no, you know, maybe their campaigns are full, maybe they don't have any campaigns, maybe the brand rep moved somewhere else, who knows? There are so many situations where it's just important to follow up because you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So just make sure you're really polite, thank them for their time, you know, I really appreciate it, and follow up. There's no harm in following up. Don't feel embarrassed, don't feel like you're being annoying. Like, we are out here like hustling our butts off, and if we want to make it happen and make it work, like that's how we're gonna do it. We're gonna follow up. Another thing you can attach to your pitch email is a media kit. This is pretty much just a social media resume. I've talked about it in a video before. I have my own website. It's called My Collab Kit that will create a media, it'll generate it for you based off your account, and then you can customize the colors and the information on it. You can also use Canva templates as well. There's so many resources. I think I actually have a blog post too that I'll link down below. But essentially you want to attach your media kit. That way if they are interested, they'll click it and they'll kind of read more about you. They'll see your stats, your demographics, you know, previous brands you've worked with, and just a little bit more about you where they kind of get to know you. And when you're pitching in your email, make sure you link your Instagram account so they can easily find you. You don't want to be like, hi, this is my Instagram, you know, mine is Fashionably Served, and then they have to go on Instagram and search you. Link it in your email so they just click it and it takes you straight to them. Or you can put it in your signature at the bottom. Like in my signature, I have my Instagram, my blog, and my YouTube, I believe. That way, if they're reading, they get to the end of the email, they can be like, okay, let me check out her stuff. So they can click the links and it goes directly to it. Again, you want to make this as easy as possible for them because they're getting so many inquiries daily. You want to make sure you stand out. Make it easy so they don't have to go search, because a lot of the times they're probably not going to because they don't have time. They have so many things that they have to do that, you know, you're not just pitching a brand, you're pitching a person who has daily things like we do. So make it as easy as possible. Add in your media kit, link in your socials there too, and brands will literally love you for that. So another tip is going to be look at their feed and see what kind of content they post. A lot of the times, you know, we want to work with a brand because it has this prestige, or we really like their stylist, but like doesn't match you. So I guess, for example, say you have a really dark, moody feed, which is totally fine, that they're beautiful, but if you're wanting to pitch a brand who has a really bright, colorful feed, they might see your Instagram and be like, I don't think that's the right fit because our styles are so different. So you want to make sure you look at their content, see what they're reposting, and maybe create content that's similar to their content. Even if you're not going to post it on their page, you can potentially send it to them in a link and be like, hey, I love your brand, I created some content, I would love to hear any feedback you might have for me, you know, I'd love to potentially collaborate, this is what I can do for you, does this help with your marketing goals? You know, send them the content that's similar, because a lot of the brands too, a way to make money as a content creator is content creation. So that just means you don't have to post it on your socials. You're strictly creating for the brand to use for their work. So make sure you look at their feed, get a good feel. Are your target demographics, are they similar? You know, you want to make sure it's a good fit, because you don't want to force anything, because then it's also kind of awkward if you have a really dark, moody feed and then they send you like a really bright pink piece and you're just kind of like, oh, that's not my style, this is going to be really hard to fit into my feed, and then that relationship, you know, isn't as great as a different one could be. So really look at their feed, look at what hashtags they use, just kind of look at the overall brand aesthetic. That way you have an idea of how to present yourself and pitch yourself, and maybe you might want to add a mood board to your pitch email where you just go on Pinterest and collect a bunch of images that maybe inspire you, and you can add them. Just, you know, use Canva. Canva's so great. I pay for my version, but there is a free version. Just make a cute little collage, be like, this is my inspiration, this is what I had in mind for a shoot. Maybe put some locations, some style inspo, a color palette. That way the brand can really get an idea of what you can do for them, and that's just another way to set yourself apart, because you're putting in work and you're showing the brand like, hey, I want to work with you, this is what I've prepared. It's kind of like an interview almost, like you're trying to get a job, you are trying to get the job, and you have to show them your skill and what you can do, because again, there are so many girls who are pursuing this, which is totally fine, but make sure you're putting in the work and showing the brand why you are worth it to them. this tip I think is super essential because a lot of people don't do it, and I also own my small brand and I get this all the time and it just comes off so inauthentic, and honestly I'm just like, it's kind of rude, and I'm like, why? So make sure when you are pitching a brand that you are following their account on Instagram. I don't care if it's like for a day, for a week, for a month, and you go and follow them maybe later, you know. Again, if it's your dream collaboration, you should be wanting to follow them anyway because you're inspired and you love their brand. But it's very inauthentic when someone sends a DM and says, hey, I love your brand so much, I'd love to collaborate with you, like let me know your thoughts, and then you go and check to see if they're following you and they're not, and you're just like, okay, but you just said you loved my brand, so like, are you lying? Like, are you just trying to get something for free out of me? Like, it just doesn't come off in the best light. So I think this is a great tip because a lot of people don't know to do this, and maybe they're narrowing it down and trying to pick a selection of people they want to work with, and you know, you're following them and another girl isn't, and maybe they'll pick you because of that. You seriously never know, so you really want to set yourself up for success. That way you can land your dream collaboration. So just be authentic, follow the brand, even if it's for a little bit. I know we all like care about that number and we really shouldn't, but if you do care about that number, just follow them, it'll help you. You also want to engage with their profile. So ways you can do that is leaving thoughtful comments on their posts, liking their post, maybe possibly sharing their post to your stories and tagging them so they can see it, and reacting to their stories as well. It'll show their name kind of in their inbox, which is a great way. But just genuinely engaging, don't like force it, but just show them you love the brand, and then they'll start to kind of see who's being consistent with posting, and that's just another way you could potentially get noticed. So this is my last tip, and I think it's a really good one because this industry is all about networking and relationships. And for me personally, I've met some of my best friends on this app, and we really support each other, cheer each other on, and help each other out as much as we can. So one way to do this, if you have friends in the industry, is you can have a friend make an introduction for you to the brand. So for example, one of my girlfriends got a collaboration with Bumble. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Me and my boyfriend, we met on Bumble. That would be such a great partnership because it's authentic, because I used Bumble. And I was like, hey, like, would you mind making an intro for me? And she was like, absolutely, I'd love to, no problem. You know, and you want to do this for your friends you support and someone you could vouch for and you stand behind their content, you know. If someone asks you this and you don't feel comfortable, don't be afraid to say no. It's totally fine. So she sends this email and she's like, hey, brand, so excited for this collaboration. If you are looking for other partners, I have a friend who could potentially be a really great fit. Her name is Alyssa. These are her socials. She actually met her boyfriend on Bumble, and I think this could be a really good collaboration opportunity. So she'll like send it to me and the brand, and I can either wait for the brand to respond, or I can even follow up with that email and be like, hi Riley, thanks so much for the info. Thanks so much for the introduction, I really appreciate it. And then, you know, address the brand as well. So lovely to be connected. I'd love to hear if you have any potential opportunities. Looking forward to hearing back. You know, and sometimes they might not respond, and that's totally fine. And sometimes they might respond, and that's a collaboration for you. They'll respond and be like, hi Riley, thanks so much for the referral. So nice to meet you, Alyssa. You know, we're actually closed on that campaign right now, but we do have an upcoming campaign that might be a really good fit for you. So happy to hear you and your boyfriend met on Bumble. Like, can't wait to work together. So you never know, these things happen, but by having a friend introduce you, it's giving you credibility, because you would never introduce someone that you wouldn't vouch for, right? And so by having someone else vouch for you or make that introduction, you're kind of being set up for success in that way. Again, the brand might not have any opportunities, but at least they have your name now and they know it's an authentic partnership, and then maybe just go engage on their profile genuinely. So these are the steps that I will do if I have a dream brand that I absolutely want to work with. I will do anything to make it happen. I am very persistent, I'm dedicated, and I think that's what's gonna set people apart in this industry, is like, oh, you know, the people who are like, oh, I'll just wait for the brand to email me, or like, oh, I'll just pitch them one time and wait to hear back. Like, no, like, we need to go out there and gut it. We've written down our goals, we've written down our manifestations. We have to go out there and make things happen for ourselves, just because that's the way the industry is kind of turning into. So don't sit and wait for your dream collaboration to come in. hopefully these tips help. Let me just kind of recap for you really quickly. So genuinely supporting the brand, pitching yourself via email, look at their feed and see what kind of content they create and how you can relate your content with them. Follow the brand and authentically and genuinely engage with them, and potentially have a friend introduce you. Hopefully these tips help you land your dream collaborations. It's what I've used, it's what my friends have used, and when me and Danielle were talking about it on Clubhouse, people were commenting and saying things like, you know, I didn't really ever think to do this, or girls message me and they're like, oh, I never follow up. And I'm like, you have to follow up. It's like such a huge part of it. And any sales industry, really, following up is huge. Like, I'll get emails all the time in my inbox and I just won't respond, or I'll open it and then I forget, and then I'll send a follow-up and I'll be like, thank you so much for following up. I was looking for this email, but I couldn't remember what it was. So there's no harm in following up and chasing your dreams and just, you know, putting yourself out there. You obviously want this collaboration. If you want to make it work and you want to make it happen, you just have to do these steps. You know, you have to be willing to put your work into it. And of course, the influencer industry has like such a terrible name to it because there are fake and inauthentic people, but that's why we need to strive to be the best versions of ourselves, to be genuine and to support and help each other. And that's why I want to make these videos, is to help you guys. So hopefully this helps. Leave me a little comment below if you learned anything new or if any of these tips helped you. Again, you can follow me on Instagram at Fashionably Served. Always feel free to send me a DM. I'm always happy to chat about these things because I love helping other girls, you know, reach their goals in any way that I can help. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Again, I hope this helped, and I'm gonna be putting out a lot more videos like this as well. So like this video, subscribe if you want to hear more or get notified when I post more, and I will see you guys in my next video.